My name is Chris Ryan and we're talking in this video about the driver, and we're going to talk about the basics. So the first question is going to be, well, how high do I need to tee the golf ball? We would generally see, as a guide, half the ball above the club as a pretty good starting point. When that ball is teed up, we suddenly get another option. We have the option to hit the golf ball as the club is moving away from the ground. So hitting up on the driver, as we call it, is very, very advantageous in terms of driving the ball much, much further. A lot of the things that we therefore do in our setups are geared around helping that happen or making that happen a little bit more. So the first thing we're going to talk about now in our setup is where that ball is positioned in your stance. I would like the golf ball to be positioned towards the inside of the lead heel. It doesn't have to be specific. I don't want you to get too bogged down with specifics here, but we need that ball forward in the stance. So the second thing I would like you to do with your setup is take a slightly wider stance. So I'm giving myself a little bit more of a stable base. So having the feet a little bit wider can help you with a little bit of balance. Now, there is another reason why we'd like to widen the stance, and we're going to talk about that now. I would like your sternum, so that's the buttons, the zip, or whatever it may be on your top, to be significantly back behind the golf ball. We do that in two ways. If I take my setup with the ball in the middle of my stance, you'll notice that the buttons on my top, or the zip in this case, is in line with the golf ball. So how do I get the buttons behind the golf ball? Well, the first thing I do is I move the ball forward, as we said. By moving the ball forward, that creates slightly offset between where the ball is and where the middle of me is. The second thing I do is make my stance wider, because the wider I have my stance, this is obviously too wide, but you can see how that puts the zip, again, a lot more behind the golf ball. So widening the stance does two things. It puts the middle of you more behind the ball, and it gives you a little bit more stability. Now, why do we want the middle of you behind the ball? Very, very simply, any golf swing you ever make, the golf club is going to go up, down, and then back up again. If we can hit that ball later in the swing, so when that ball is more forward of you, we're going to hit the ball later, and that's the more upward hit that we were talking about a moment ago. So those two setup changes, having the ball forward and having the stance wider, is going to help you get behind the golf ball. That, coupled with the fact that the ball is teed up, is going to allow you to make this upward hit, and that's going to enable you to generate some more distance. That's going to allow you to create some of the impact conditions that we would like, that we were speaking about a minute ago. So really important that we play the ball forward. Really important that we take a slightly wider stance, and absolutely nothing wrong with the driver in even just tipping the upper body a little bit away from the target. We would like to see a little bit of tilt, a little bit of bend in the upper body with the driver. Now, for many golfers, when they do this, it feels very, very bizarre. They feel a lot more behind the golf ball than what they normally would be. And this is something you're just going to have to get used to, because this is exactly how we want to set up with the driver. However, it is different to the other clubs in your bag. Once I take my starting position, we would like the golf club to be a little bit more closer to vertical. To ensure, or in key to ensure, that the hands and certainly the grip end of the club is inside the lead thigh, that's going to help you have that golf club nice and vertical, yet the head and the body still back behind the golf ball. I think it's really key that we start to have a better understanding about how this golf club performs best and what we can do at our setup to help that happen a lot more regularly.